Hello, and thank you again for joining us at First Baptist Church, Camado. I am Pastor Rusty, and today I'm going to talk about indecision. You ever had to try to make up your mind on what you want to do, what you want to watch, go to a restaurant, decide what you want to eat? Have you ever changed your mind sometimes while waiting on the food to be prepared at the restaurant? You think, that sounded really good. But now that I keep looking at the menu, this sounds good. Or have you ever watched an old show, a movie, or something that you watched when you was a kid? You go back and you think, "Oh, that was awesome," and you go to watch it again, and you're like, "Why did I ever like that show? What? That's the worst thing I've ever seen in my life." And we change our minds a lot. Matter of fact, I changed my mind on what I was going to talk about in this video probably 9 times before. Now that I'm filming, I've decided to go with talking about changing your mind. We're human, right? We have likes and dislikes, and those change. Those change over time. Uh, Sometimes you have somebody say you like watching action films. All right. Sylvester Stallone, Arnold Schwarzenegger. Um, I think people still remember those guys. The new ones are Jason Statham and Bruce Willis is still around making action films. Keanu Reeves is now making action films. Haven't seen them yet. I hear they're pretty good, but I still remember Bill and Ted. That's just where I'm at with him. But things change, and so do our likes and dislikes. Sometimes it's food. That's the point. We change. We don't always like the same thing, but what does the Bible say about it? In Jeremiah 17, starting in verse 9, it says, "The heart is deceitful above all things and desperately wicked. Who can know it?" It says, "I, the Lord, search the heart. I try the reins, even to give every man according to his ways and according to the fruit of his doings." Well, as Christians, we know and understand that we talk about bearing fruit. That comes from the reference where we're grafted into the vine. We are a part of the body of Christ, and we bear fruits of our labors, fruits of our faith, and that fruit should be good, right? But in verse 9 here, it says, "The heart is deceitful above all things." Um, we lie to ourselves sometimes, not intentionally, uh, but we're fickle. We have emotions that ebb and flow. We don't always know what we want. We sometimes think we do. Sometimes we act accordingly. We'll jump on the bandwagon of whatever is popular with ourselves from day to day. And then tomorrow we're bored with it. I'll give you a good example. Let's take Christmas morning when all the kids come out and tear open the packages and they see that they got what they wanted for Christmas. They've been nagging you for months. They usually start in July, uh, sometimes earlier than that. And they get it. They play with it for best 5 minutes. Uh, I'm just kidding. Sometimes, it might take months, but eventually the newness wears off and we get bored. I know a lot of people, you buy a new car and we talk about that new car smell. And if your car still has that smell after about a year or 2 years, it's amazing because every time you get in, you smell that. And you think, "Oh, I remember why I bought this car." And I'm not sure what it is about the new car smell, but once it wears off, then it's just another car. We get attached to our cars, especially if we spend a lot of time in them. I've done that. We have sentiment to different things, but sometimes, like a new video game, we've purchased a couple. I won't say which ones, not advertising. But once you get it and you realize that it's way harder than you thought it was going to be, it's not as cool as it looked in the package. It's not as much fun now that you have to struggle with it. Well, right? We have a change of heart. Well, a lot of times people have the same thing with Christianity. They get saved. They think, this is awesome. Look, we got new friends, new people to hang around with, and yeah, it's going to be great. And then they join it, or they start going to a church. Not necessarily join a church, but they start going to a church, and then the newness wears off, and they realize that that church is full of people that, just like them, they have problems, and they're not sure that maybe this isn't the thing for them. You get bored, maybe, or maybe the church doesn't have enough programs that they like. Maybe the church is, I don't know. You just pick your topic. Church is just like anything else. It's kind of what you make out of it, really. Uh, why do we go to church? Well, we go to church to serve Jesus Christ. We go to church to have a relationship with God. We go to church to be edified and equipped. And we come together for the edification of the saints, as it says. We support one another, and we're there for each other. So that's why I like to call it family. And I need the people in this church just as much as hopefully they need me. And God brought us all together to serve Him. And sometimes, we forget that. We forget why we're here. That it's not about. And one of the things I stress, and even in these videos, I'm not, you know, it's not about the guy behind the pulpit, right? It's not about the joker you're watching on this video. It's we're all human, but we all come here to serve Jesus because He walks with us. He has a active role in our lives, and He's there for us. In verse 10 there, it says, "I, the Lord, search the heart." He says, "I try the reins, even to give every man according to his ways and according to the fruit of his doings." You know, we all have different talents, different interests, different abilities, and that's good. That's diversity. We all have different cultures and backgrounds, and that's good. That's diversity. And Jesus uses those differences to help point out the similarities, that we all need Him, that He loves every one of us. Um, we're supposed to put our trust in Him. If you back up in Thessalonians, this is chapter 17 to verse 5, it says, "Thus saith the Lord, cursed be the man that trusteth in man." It says, "And maketh flesh his arm, and whose heart departeth from the Lord." It says, "For he shall be like the he shall be like the heath in the desert, and shall not see when good cometh." He says, "He shall inhabit the parched places in the wilderness, in a salt land, and not inhabit it." If you put your trust in who? Man. Well, I'm going to give you a personal example. I'm a man. Don't put your trust in me. Okay? Trust that I'm trusting in the Lord. Okay. I asked the people of the church, I tell them, they have to know the Bible just as well, if not better than I do, so that they can hold me accountable. I mentioned in a few videos back that I like to teach on accountability, integrity, and responsibility. I don't like being called the person in charge at the church. God's in charge. Jesus' house. I'm guided by the Holy Spirit and how He would like me to oversee things and take the big R word, responsibility, for the things that go on in the church. I have to have integrity and have to be accountable for what I preach, for every word that I say and that I share with you. And that's why you don't put your trust in me. I'm going to let you down. I'm going to say something that offends you. I'm going to say something that you don't like. I'm going to maybe look at verse in the Bible that at the time I read it, it applies a different way than you think it should. And then that's okay. We're going to have differences. That's one thing why I like to refer to the Bible as the living word. Jesus speaks to us through it. You can go back and read a verse 10 times, and depending on where you're at, it changes. That's a very beautiful thing, actually. Going down to verse 7, it says, "Blessed is the man that trusteth in the Lord, and whose hope the Lord is." This is, "For he shall be as a tree planted by the waters, and that spreadeth out her roots by the river, and shall not see when heat cometh, but her leaf shall be green, and shall not be careful in the year of drought. It says, neither shall cease from yielding fruit." In other words, regardless of what you go through, if you're trusting in the Lord, uh, you're going to do fine. You're getting your strength, you're getting your nourishment, you're getting all the things that you need from Jesus and from the Bible and from His Word and from your relationship with Him. And when trouble comes, such as we're in now, right? We're all shelter in place. We're all a little uneasy at the very least. I'm not worried about the way things are coming. I'm concerned with what's going to come out of all this, but I don't have any reason to worry. Jesus is going to take care of it. What will be, will be. What's going to come to pass will come to pass, and it will pass. Uh, as I say, sometimes like a kidney stone, but it will pass. And we just have to take every day and enjoy it. Every day is a day that the Lord has made. We know that He is the be all end all. He allows things to happen in our life, but He is always in control. When I talked about pass it on Pilate, Pilate wasn't in control of the situation. Pilate was just, he was only allowed to do so much. God was in control. The priests were only allowed to do so much when they brought Jesus before Pilate. Jesus had control of his life. He had laid it down and He took it back up. And that's why we can put our trust in Him. He is consistent. And I can't remember the philosopher's name. I had looked it up a minute ago to find out how to pronounce it. Let me see if I can find it real quick. I hate doing this, especially when I'm making a video, but I don't want to start over again. All right. There we go. Heraclitus. Probably butchering the name. If so, sorry. I'm human. But the quote is this, what he says: "No man ever steps in the same river twice, for it's not the same river and he's not the same man." I really love that statement. I love that philosophy because we're not. The river is ever flowing. The same water that you stepped in at one point is now downriver, gone, never coming back. Uh, Not likely, anyhow. Uh, and you're not the same person. You go to the river one time, and when you leave, you're different. When you come back to that river, many things have happened in your life, possibly. Um, just physically, we know that cells break down and replace themselves, skin cells flake off. So technically, physically, you're never the same person. You're constantly uh, growing, replacing yourself, and that's good. But mentally, emotionally, you come into the river, you go and say it's a couple of days. Perhaps you've lost a loved one. Perhaps you've got a new job. Perhaps you bought a new puppy. Whatever it is, your life has changed. And so you're never the same person. You're never in the same situation. And the river is never the same. Sometimes it's lower, sometimes it's higher. One of the things I love about out here in New Mexico is when you get out in the desert, you'll see where there's been a decent sized river flowing through, but it's bare, it's parched, it's dry. And then you'll come back a couple of days later, maybe after it's rained or the snow's melted off the mountains, and it's full and it's flowing. And you think, I walked across it 2 days ago. Today, I can't make it through. You're not going to drive through it. You're going to get swept away. It's not the same river. It changes, and our lives change, right? Everybody understands that now. COVID-19. We're going to be talking about that for many generations to come. Just like we talk about 9/11. And what have we done about 9/11? Forgot about it? No, we haven't forgot about it, but is it the same importance today as it was, 3 months ago? Maybe 9/11 was the biggest thing that's ever happened in the world, or at least the United States. It made an impression around the world, got a lot of people's attention. Well, COVID-19 definitely has everybody's attention. Everyone's talking about it too. It's the latest thing to happen. We change. That's life. Um, we endure. We go through a lot of hardships, and we go through a lot of issues in life and deal with many things. But you know what the beauty of it all is? If you have a relationship with Jesus, if you've accepted Him into your life, accepted salvation, we don't have to worry about tomorrow. Bible. Well, that was one of the verses I thought about using, and I'm going to kind of throw it out there without it, just kind of summarizing it. Take no thought on tomorrow, for the morrow will take care of itself. Uh, we can guess and anticipate what's going to happen tomorrow, but we never know. Jesus knows, and Jesus is our consistency. And the last verse I wanted to share with you that I picked out of the many I looked through. I spent 2 hours looking. And I thought this verse, right. Had a hard time making up my mind, but I had to finally decide on something and go with it. And the last verse I want to share with you is Hebrews 13:8. Jesus Christ, the same yesterday and today and forever. He is always consistent. He consistently loves you. He consistently loves me. He knows we're going to make mistakes. He knows we're human. He doesn't look at the color of our skin. He doesn't look at our past. He doesn't look at anything other than the condition of our heart. He knows better than we know what we need. And he doesn't care about your background, right? That's all the past. I said that yesterday in the last video. I'll say it several times to come. I'll go back to it because you can't fix yesterday. All right. I can't go back to the videos I posted, which is why I try to think about what I'm going to say, because YouTube and Facebook are forever, right? Once you're on Facebook, it's Facebook official, then it's real. You got, just like the internet. Once it's posted, it's there. You try to delete it, but it's there for all eternity. And I want to make sure that I'm I'm trying to be consistent in what I say, right? Trust Jesus. It's the best thing. I'll give you the running gag, if you will, that I think I've had gone on for a little over 10 years now with this. If a preacher ever asks you what they preached on last Sunday, which how many of you can remember what your pastor or your preacher preached on last Sunday? Be honest. Sometimes I can't even remember what I preached, and I'm the one that preached it. Okay. But here's the go-to answer. Jesus. Right? Jesus. It's a safe way out, right? And somebody asks you, "What'd your preacher preach on?" He preached on Jesus. Guess what he's going to preach on next Sunday? Jesus. Everything we preach from the pulpit should be Jesus. Why? Because Hebrews 13:8, Jesus Christ, the same yesterday and today and forever. He's consistent. Life isn't. It's going to ebb and flow. It's going to have good times, bad times, the worst of times, the best of times. Whatever it is, Jesus will always be consistent. He will always be there for you. And you can trust in him. Going back to Thessalonians chapter 17. Thus saith the Lord, cursed be the man that trusteth in man. Right? Don't do it. It's blind leading the blind. Blessed is the man that trusteth in the Lord, verse 7, and whose hope the Lord is. See, that's where we have to follow. That's the example I'm trying to give to you, and I know trying is not a good statement. We do or we don't. But my attempt is to share with you Jesus. He'll always love you. He'll always be there, never leave you, never forsake you. But man will. Just remember that. Our hearts change. Our minds change. Our thoughts change. Our likes change. Jesus doesn't. So trust in him, folks. While we're dealing with all the issues of life, while we're struggling, just trust in Jesus. That's all I'm saying. And I'll end it there. Thank you for joining me. I look forward to speaking with you next time.